When we started House of Cars, it was actually more of like a brokerage system where we would get you pre-approved for an amount, almost like a mortgage.
Okay.
And then we would find you the car that actually fit your approval and what you actually wanted.
So working backwards and saying, let's do the hard stuff first. And now here's the vehicles that work for this. Which one do you like the most?
Completely backwards. And that's how it was.
Welcome to the House of Cars podcast. On this episode, I'm going to introduce the founder of the company, Justin Klee. We're going to talk about how House of Cars is flipping the auto industry upside down, doing things completely backwards, and as well a couple cool tips about what it takes to actually start a successful company. Welcome everybody. I'm really excited about this project. What we've decided to do is really just create a platform where we can touch base with the community a little bit and break apart some of the stigmas. We can have some fun with it. You're going to get the opportunity to meet some of the people involved with the company. You're going to get the opportunity to meet some of our clients, figure out where people are coming from, all that stuff. I'm really pumped to have Justin here with me today. So Justin is the founder of House of Cars. He's been a mentor and a friend of mine for like 5 years now, 4 or 5 years.
About 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a pretty cool ride. Yeah. So really just first off, before we dive into it, why are we doing this? And the best answer that I can come up with is, if you go to a restaurant and if you order a steak and it's not cooked properly and you send it back and everybody has that weird fear, it's like, well, maybe they're going to spit in my food or something like that. And totally untrue.
For sure.
But the fear's there. And what we've come to realize is that the car industry has a lot of that stigma around it, right?
For sure.
So this is one way where we can humanize the industry, debunk a bunch of these myths, get to know people. You can get to know us a little bit and break down those barriers right away.
It's showing the transparency of the industry as well. Like everything is behind closed office and closed doors. A lot of people don't know their own credit scores or how to read stuff like that, or even just the automotive buying process.
For sure.
A lot of people that come in, they don't even understand financing. They don't understand terms or rates and stuff like that. And that's all we're doing is more educating people on the car buying process, I think.
Exactly. And you know what, we'll get into this in episodes for sure. And that's one of the big things that separates, your company from everybody else. You walk into most dealerships and everything is behind closed doors. It's all hush hush. Everything kind of seems like a bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the things that, we can really try and peel back the layers of that onion and say, here's actually how the industry works. And
I think generally just helping people out too, just making them understand that an installment loan is the fastest way to rebuild your credit, or if you're at a certain credit score right now, once we get you into an auto loan or consolidate debt or whatnot, we can kind of figure out, where to go with that, and we can get you into a prime situation in about 1.5 years, right?
Which is sweet, and that helps people in all aspects of their life, right? When it comes to buying houses, everything like that.
Yeah.
Sweet, that's really cool. Okay, so I guess we'll start off with, with how this whole thing got started. How did you get into cars? What's the passion behind all this?
I started probably about 22 years ago.
Wild.
Flipping cars, yeah, and then.
Were you in Alberta the whole time?
In Calgary, yeah. I was going to school to be a network support specialist. And
say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. So I ended up, just flipping cars on the side to pay for my school, and then ended up seeing a news report about Toronto and their illegal street racing.
Cool.
So I ended up flying out to Toronto, buying a whole bunch of rice rockets, if you want to call them.
House of Cars does not endorse illegal street racing.
But yeah, bought a bunch of cars out in Toronto, brought them back, sold them, went back out to Toronto, bought a bunch more, sold them, and then started up with a small shop called Hot Wheels Automotive.
Cool.
Ran with that for about 1.5 years, and then partnered with my mentor out of Toronto, actually.
Really cool.
So we ended up doing a dealer group called Gallery of Fine Cars.
And then he showed you the ropes and everything like that.
Showed me the whole thing, and then just did about 5 years, and ended up branching out and doing House of Cars. It was a little bit different program where we were going more into helping people, or basically getting...
So you exited the gallery group and then started up House of Cars.
For sure, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was in 2011 I exited it. So
cool.
Did about 5 years with those guys.
Sweet, and then you were able to learn and figure out how the whole system gets put together. I'm sure you built some relationships with some of the banks and stuff like that, which could be invaluable moving forward.
wholesale, banks, just financial institutions, warranty companies, everything that we kind of have now is all built like.
So there's so many moving pieces that actually go into it. I'm sure it's the same with any company, but you say, here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go out and jump the gun, and I'm going to start a car dealership. And as you found, there's a whole bunch of other segments of the industry that have to be in line before you can really.
It's crazy. Every dealership is one business, but there's 8 different businesses within the business, right?
Definitely.
You have not only you have the car sales, and you have finance, and you have warranty, then you have body shop, mechanic. Like there's just so many different streams. You can get into car rental. You can get into there's just so many streams, right?
So by the time the customer actually drives that car that they bought off the lot, there's been this huge iceberg of energy and people and time that has gone into this.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. That's awesome. So when you started House of Cars and you transitioned more into the helping people side, how did the community, your clientele, react to that?
It was different. So as a dealer principal, when you hold a bunch of inventory and whatnot, as you know.
I've learned very quickly. It's been a crash course lesson over the last year and a half for me.
Inventory is expensive, it depreciates, it gets lot rots, or it just kind of goes bad on the lot. So when we started House of Cars, it was actually more of like a brokerage system where we would get you pre-approved for an amount, almost like a mortgage.
Okay.
And then we would find you the car that actually fit your approval and what you actually wanted.
So working backwards and saying, let's do the hard stuff first, and now here's the vehicles that work for this. Which one do you like the most?
Completely backwards. And that's how it was. So we ran for a couple of years with actually minimal inventory, smaller base stores, and we would do concierge service with our clients. And then as time grew, a lot of the big dealerships didn't really like that because we were coming into and monopolizing the market.
Well, whatever happens when you go into an industry and you flip it all upside down, you have the big players that have been there forever, they're going to get all their panties in a knot anyways.
Well, we were running 15, 20 car stores, selling about 50, 60 cars a month. Right, which is unheard of to flip your inventory 3 times over in a month.
Definitely.
So as the rules kind of changed, it forced us to get bigger, and that's where you see the 5-acre Barlows and the couple-acre McKnights and stuff like that now, right? So
it's cool how everything has transitioned and grown.
For sure.
And you know what? That's actually a testament to the business model obviously working, right? And having the mindset in the right place. You're never going to grow a company if you are not adding the right type of value,
for sure.
Right? So being able to say, hey, this is where we came from, and now, within only, 7 years, we're where we are now. That's pretty cool.
Well, you'll see like a lot of people, they'll come in on a cheap car, say a 2008 BMW, not knowing it's got higher mileage, it's off warranty, it's going to give you more headaches down the road. But at the same time, you can't finance that car. It's only a 12-month, 36-month, 24-month term.
And people don't understand that.
The payments are through the roof, where you can get into a newer car, under warranty, more reliable for a lot less money, and it's a better asset, really, essentially, right?
You know what? Personal example of that too. I've owned a couple BMWs, and great cars. Had a lot of fun driving them, but they were old. Like I remember my first BMW was a 6-speed 2005 3 Series, and it was so much fun. I drove it while I was in university, but it was nothing but problems. And every time I brought it in, I'd bring it in for an oil change, and I'd think, okay, $60, and it's like $400 later and stuff. It's like, holy shit! Like this just keeps going and going and going.
Well, a lot of people don't understand that car at one point was $60,000 car, so it's still $60,000 to maintain the car, even though you could buy it for 10 or 12 grand.
For sure, I picked it up on Kijiji for $5,000.
Yeah, for sure.
I was the only freshman in university with a 6-speed BMW.
Yeah.
Hated it.
the bills will eat you up, right?
For sure. Now I drive a Jetta, and honestly, it's the exact same driving experience, if not better, because we've had 15 years of engine technology and stuff go into it, and it is a zero headache car.
For sure.
That's sweet. So then, personally, what are some of the bigger obstacles and hurdles that you've had to overcome? Because it's obviously not an easy journey, the entrepreneurship life, and it's a big thing right now in the world where everybody, it's the new craze. It's work for yourself, be an entrepreneur, go out and do this stuff. But a lot of people find that most businesses don't make it off the ground, and a lot of that comes down to the people backing it.
I think people want instant gratification nowadays. When you see Instagram, you see Facebook, and you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, I guess you would call it.
That Instagram model life, that influencer life.
Unfortunately, it's just time, and it's slow build, and it's slow and steady wins the race. And you try not to over leverage yourself. You try to be in a cash position. You try to just, with every company, you got to slowly build the foundation to be able to support the top as well. If you build too fast, too quick, the whole house completely collapses, right?
For sure. Yeah, it's really cool. One of the things is, like I said, you've been a mentor for me for a big chunk of my life. And one of the things that you always say is everybody always sees, the cars and the houses and stuff, but nobody actually sees what goes into it.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like every store that we build currently nowadays, you're in the grind and you're cleaning toilets and doing garbages and putting cars online and just building, but people don't see that. Yeah. And as you grow, you obviously hire other people. And
so over time, it's like a pendulum almost, where in any business, it's going to be a lot of time and investment and energy put into it with not a lot of return. And then over time, it transitions. That's really cool.
And that's why, there's not too many people that can do that. It's a sacrifice, really is, but once you get her going, and every day is a new challenge, a new battle, but it's more fun to build, actually. Once you obtain the houses and the cars and stuff like that, the actual build part, you laugh and you look back at it, that's the part that actually matters the most.
That's where all your stories come from.
Yeah.
What's the coolest or like a really funny House of Cars story that you've had from one of the earlier years?
I think, in my car business world, we hired a detailer. He was a Jamaican guy. He'd never detailed before. He had long dreads, and we taught him how to use
stereotype.
the power buffer. But basically, his dreadlocks got caught in the power buffer, and he spun a couple of his dreads out.
Did it rip his hair out?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, there's been some good stories for sure.
That's hilarious. That's really good. So if you could so basically what I'm picking up from you is you're saying everyone's looking for that secret. And what you're saying is there's no secret, it's just a shitload of hard work.
Yeah, and I think truly if you, like for anything that you do, as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, the money will always come or everything will build on its own, right? Stay in your lane is what it is.
Yeah.
I know everybody wants to chase the next best thing, but if you're not passionate about it or if you don't know anything about it, you're definitely most likely going to lose, you know what I mean? But if you're passionate about cars, you enjoy cars, it's part of your life, the rest of everything will build, right? So,
gotcha. Here's another car analogy. So when you start, you're in first gear and you're revving really hard, and over time you get into second, third, fourth, and it gets easier. But it's really easy to tap yourself out while you're still in first or second gear and say, why am I putting so much energy into something?
For sure.
Cool.
Yeah, there's been a lot of times you just want to give up, or just started that project in the States, like you couldn't get the banks and couldn't get this and couldn't do that. And there's just times that you want to give up, but you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And eventually the earth unmoves and off you go, right?
So you, let's talk about that a little bit. So you opened a store in Phoenix.
Yeah, down in Scottsdale, Arizona.
And that was about a year ago?
We signed the lease in February of 2019, but didn't actually start selling cars till about September of 2019.
Cool.
We couldn't get the banks, we couldn't get inventory, all new connections, a whole new country.
So it's a completely new market.
Yeah. So completely rebuild on that.
And what was that? So you've had a ton of experience in, relatively being quite successful in Canada. And so you have the know-how, know what goes into it, but in a new market where you have, different political systems, different financial structures, it's a much bigger scale.
Well, unfortunately, in our business too, there's a lot of car dealers that don't do business properly, so it gives the whole industry a bad name. So now when you're getting banks and getting lenders and getting relationships with different wholesalers, it's tough. Like a lot of guys rip guys off or whatever it is, right? So
previous people have burned bridges, and that has made it tougher for the people who are doing business the right way to get in.
Yeah, so say you wanted to get in the car business and call it Stevens Auto Sales. I mean, you can't get the banks now. Like it's impossible to get the banks. You may get a few subprime ones, but how many people are buying cars cash nowadays, right?
Sure.
So you need those relationships and you got to keep them strong, and it's a partnership with banks or warranty companies or whoever it is, right?
Cool. That's cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that everything is, you've battled your way through that. You stuck on the warpath.
Still battling.
You know what? That's it. That's what it comes down to. And it's in any business, right? And it's every day is a new challenge, right? And like you were saying, you keep focused, you stay on the warpath, and eventually you push through all those barriers, right?
Yeah, you just build a good team and a good support. You know, obviously House of Cars, I couldn't run this by myself in any means. And a lot of guys that even work for us have surpassed my skills by like leaps and bounds.
And you know what's really cool about that is working with people who have, you know, the brains and the awareness, I'll say,
Sure.
to recognize, hey, this is my set of skills, right? If someone tries to do everything themselves, you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to find things that you're not resonating with, versus you can surround yourself with the right people who not only empower you, but kind of round out that full skill set, right? So if you have somebody, you know, I know you're a really good marketer, right? If you have somebody who can, you know, do like the numbers and the grunt work and stuff like that, now it just takes it off your plate, right? And now you can rise together.
Well, I think in any business, the biggest thing is micromanaging. So a lot of people think that they can do it the best, or they need the control part of it, which does not work. You have to give up control, you have to trust, and you have to train people properly to kind of do as best as you can in those systems, right?
Which is a scary thing to do.
Yourself, yeah.
You put a lot of time and energy and, you know, money into starting something, and it's your idea, especially as an owner, right? When we opened our McKnight store, I came into it, and it was a huge learning curve for me. And being able to say, okay, cool, I'm actually going to let things go for a little bit, see what happens, and then you can jump in and tweak and readjust and make the changes where you need to. But it's a scary thing.
For sure. Yeah. And you got to manage people. That's a whole nother level. Like, just, you can manage yourself and you can do things yourself, but now you have to replicate yourself 10, 12, 35 times in a store, right?
Yeah.
So to get everybody on that same page is very difficult.
But once the machine is built and the systems are in place, then it's,
for sure,
things settle down a little bit.
Absolutely.
Sweet. So a couple things with this podcast, I'm going to be asking everybody. So I'm going to have a bunch of different guests coming on here. There are two things that I really want to know from everybody. The first is what motivates you personally.
I think at this point, I love the growth, and I love watching other people that have maybe been in a different situation or come out of a different life or whatever, to be able to grow and become leaders and challenge them. You know what I mean? I think that's my thing right now.
Cool.
I obviously have cars, and you know, I've seen the successes and the ups and downs of the business, but yeah, I think it's more watching everybody else enjoy the same success.
Sweet.
And just growing as a group and a company, and just, you know, the bigger picture, right?
Justin Klee, wholesome family man.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that.
Or even my daughters to be around it and stuff like that, right? And just to see, you know, we started House of Cars in 2012. Actually, our anniversary was 2 days ago.
Cool.
We started
Happy anniversary.
Started the company with $40,000, and it did over $100 million in sales last year.
Wow,
like, it's
that's
insane.
staggering.
Like, yeah, in 8 years to be able to do that with nothing, like no banks, no brand, no help, no cars.
Yep.
So
that's awesome. Well, it's a huge testament to the work that you put in. So congrats on that.
For sure.
Really cool.
Well, and then also helping all the clients and helping everybody else along the way too, right? So it's
definitely,
it's nice.
It's been a lot of really cool stories. I'm excited to have some of the clients come on here and, you know, share their version of it.
For sure.
Right? It's nice to have the people involved in the company and the day-to-day here be able to share some of what that life is like, but also being able to, you know, in future episodes have some of the clients here and hear that story and see, you know, how you know, this purchase and what you were talking about with building the credit, how it has actually been a direct impact to their life.
Well, yeah, it's, you know, even like personal friends of mine that fought a big company like TELUS or whatever over a $300 bill. They've got terrible credit because of it, and we educate them, show them, and within a year and a half, they're buying a house and thanking you, and now they got whatever truck they want, and you've changed their lives, right?
For sure.
So it's nice to see, for sure.
For sure. Okay, my second question, what is your favorite car?
Everyone always asks me.
This is the one question I thought you'd be the most prepared for.
They're so different. Like, honestly, car-wise, I think like the Lambo Aventador was crazy. It was loud, obnoxious, yeah. Drive-wise, the McLaren 720S, what I currently have, that one's unreal.
Cool.
And then my daily driver, the H1, is just a tank. It's slow.
Daily driver tank.
It's just badass, right? So
that's perfect. So which one of those three, because those are all three, they're three really sick cars. Actually, I'm thinking because I know there's a photo of you wearing a Batman costume getting out of the event, or I'll find it and post it somewhere where you guys can see that, because that's a really cool photo. But what turns the most heads?
I'm not a big car geek, nerd, track guy, so I'm not like a true car enthusiast, but by far, I think the Lamborghini Aventador was the craziest. Like,
turns the most heads. As soon as those doors go up, it's
just the sound. It sounded like a jet coming down the streets.
That's cool.
So I think that one's the best one for sure.
That's really cool. Okay, so that's really awesome. I appreciate you coming here. Just quickly to wrap things up, what's the next step? Where does House of Cars go from here? So now, the brand has been built, over the last little bit. You started with nothing, fought your way through it. Now the brand is built, multiple locations. There's a pretty significant presence in Alberta, down in the States now. What's the next step?
Well, we got a few projects on the go right now. A couple of dealerships kind of just sitting in limbo right now. We're building our own finance companies. We're going to start doing our own lending.
Sweet.
We did our own warranty program last year. And then basically expanding both Canadian and US sides. And just kind of building both borders up, right? So,
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So thanks for popping by today. I appreciate it. And good luck with everything.
Absolutely. Thank you.